What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Mr. G's Math Videos. In today's episode, we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting decimals. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right in. So, here's our anchor chart, and this is going over some strategies of when we add and subtract decimals. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're lining up these numbers by place value. Tens with tens, ones with ones, tenths with tenths, and so on. Then we want to make sure if any number has an extra place value, we want to be adding a zero as a placeholder so they all line up. Then we're going to do the math just like normal. And then the last thing we want to remember to do is bring down our decimal into our answer. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first equation. We have 12 and 356 thousandths plus 4 and 26 hundredths. So a couple things going on here with these two numbers. The very first thing I noticed was this first number has thousands. This second number only has hundredths. I'm going to need to add that zero into the thousands place. That is what I'm talking about when we add a zero to our placeholder. The other thing I noticed, this first number has a tens place. This second number only has a 1. I'm going to fill in the tens place with a 0. So again, that's adding that 0 as a placeholder. Now I'm ready to rewrite this equation, and I'm going to make sure that I line up each place value on top of the other. So 12.356, 4.260. So notice how I'm lining everything up. And then all we're going to do is add just like normal. 6 plus 0 is 6. 5 plus 6 is 11, so I'm going to have to regroup. 3 plus 2 plus 1 makes 6. 2 plus 4 also makes 6. And then finally in the tens place, 1 plus 0 is 1. And then our last step, I want to bring that decimal place down, or that decimal point down, into my answer. So that is going to give me an answer of 16.616. All right, let's take a look at one more problem. The table below shows the distance in miles that 4 students ran on Monday. How much further did Chloe run than Ben? So before I can start solving this, I need to go, are we adding or are we subtracting? Well, the problem's asking me to compare Chloe's distance and Ben's distance and find the difference. Anytime we're finding difference, that is going to be subtraction. Another clue was also these words, how much further. When you see those type of words, how much further, how much larger, how much slower, those are all comparing words. And again, anytime we compare, we are subtracting. So I need to focus on Ben's number and I need to focus on Chloe's number. Well, Chloe, she has thousands. Ben only has hundreds. So again, I'm going to add that 0 in that placeholder of the thousands. Now I'm ready to subtract. And just remember, subtraction, total minus part equals part. In this case, the total is Chloe, the larger number. So she is going to have her number on top, 3.125, minus Ben's smaller number, 1.980. And I'm going to remember to line everything up. All right, now we're ready to just subtract like normal. 5 minus 0 is 5. 2 minus 8. So I can't do 2 minus 8 because there's more on the floor. So I would need to go next door and get 10 more. So I'm going to borrow from the tenths. That's going to be 0. Move that 10 over to the 200ths, and that's going to give me 12. Now I'm able to subtract 12 minus 8 is 4. In the tenths, I'm running into that same problem. I can't take 0 and take away 9. There's more on the floor. So I'm going to go next door to the ones place and borrow. That becomes a 2. And then this 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. and then I bring the decimal point down. Now just quickly checking my answer, if I add 5 plus 0 is 5, so that checks. 4 plus 8 is 12, that checks. 1 plus 9 is 10, that checks. And then finally 1 plus 1 is 2, that checks out. So always make sure you're checking your answer before you go on to the next question. All right, so now that you've seen a few and I've walked you through those steps, let's see if you can try these two on your own. 25.3 plus 14.72. And then the second problem, 28 and 652 thousandths minus 12 and 4 tenths. Go ahead and pause this video. See if you can work those out on scratch paper on your own using our strategy. And then unpause the video and I'll walk you through the answers. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it for number 1. I noticed that this first number only has tenths, but this has hundredths. I'm going to have to add a 0 as a placeholder. And now I'm ready to add 25.30 plus 14.72. And then now I'm just adding like normal, starting the smallest place value. 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 plus 7 is 10, so I'm going to regroup. 5 plus 4 is 9, plus the 1 I regrouped is 10. Regroup again. 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. And then I want to remember to drop down that decimal point. So the answer to number 1 is 40 and 2 hundredths. Now the second problem, 28.652, I notice this has thousandths. And in this number, 12.4, so I got tenths. I'm going to have to add a placeholder for the hundredths and thousandths place. Okay, now I'm ready to rewrite my equation, and I want to make sure that I line everything up neatly. Minus 12 and 400 thousandths. And then we're just going to subtract like normal. 2 minus 0 is 2. 5 minus 0 is 5. 6 minus 4 is 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then finally, bring that decimal point down. And there's our answer, 16 and 252 thousandths. How did you guys do? Hopefully you got those both correct. All right, guys, that is going to do it for us. Just remember the key to adding and subtracting decimals. Make sure they all have the same place values. Use those zeros as placeholders and line up all your place values. Tens with tens, hundreds with hundreds, and so on. That is going to do it for me. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you watching. Y'all are the best. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That way you get notifications the next time I post a video. That is going to be it for me. Until next time, Manta Rays, keep on mathin'.